Discover worlds you want to live in. Isekai, world building at its most enthusiastic.
Hello and welcome. I'm Bitsy the Alien, your host, a galactic overlord of the Stranger Realms and the planet Eoterra. Without further ado, let us welcome today's amazing guest, Matta, aboard the Mothership. I hope I said that right. Welcome.
You did. Thanks. I also go by M Sorcier if that's easier. That's like my professional handle, I guess, because it
Okay.
sounds more professional. But whatever. It's all good.
I like Matta. It's cute.
Thanks.
All right. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your lovely creations.
All right. Well, I'm a self-taught artist and writer, so I just kind of like I've been basically like making up stories since I could form coherent words, and I've been drawing since I could hold a pencil. It's kind of cliche, but me. Uh,
That's
and-
awesome.
Thanks. And I'm the creator of Sacrimony, A Tale of Love, Life, and Death in no particular order. It's about a lot of things, but the current one that I'm kickstarting, like, jumps into the story of basically a fallen god and the people who hate him. It's like, there's a guy, Sifrim. He was once a deity, but he committed crimes against another deity by murdering them, and he got banished to the mortal realm as punishment. So a group of mortals, like, they go to visit him in prison to see, like, what the situation is, and they strike a deal. He's like, "Hey guys, I have divine knowledge, but I'll only give it to you if you free me from prison." And they're like, "All right, but we can't free you from prison until you tell us why you've been sent here." And he's like, "Well, I'm not telling you that until you free me from prison." So it's like a terrible catch-22. And it's basically like, what are these mortals gonna do? Like, what lengths will they go to get to the divine knowledge, and like, is it gonna be worth it?
Okay, awesome. I was wondering because I saw your last Kickstarter too, and I just kind of saw it in passing one day, and I was like, that looks really cool. And
Oh, thanks.
yeah, I like your art a lot. The whole vibe is really awesome. But I was wondering how it like they played in together because I haven't read anything yet.
It's all good. You
Uh,
know, we're so busy creating that we just don't have time to read each other's stuff. Like, I'll back like a million Kickstarters, and I have like so many books sitting unread and so many PDFs that are just like sitting in my download folder. And I'm like, I will be a good friend and read these one day. Like, one day
yes.
I'll have the time. So I get it.
Same here, for sure. I always get the digital and I've got like a little folder I keep them all in, and I'm like, I haven't read any of these. I feel terrible.
I think that's, yeah, the general thing among creators is just we don't get to read each other's stuff.
Right. And that's kind of why we do these podcasts though, because we can talk to each other and be like, ah,
Yes,
I see.
absolutely.
Um, so let me go ahead and show one of your really beautiful pieces. Let's see. I had it here a second ago. Share screen. Haha. So this is a page. Is this of your current Kickstarter?
It's from the last one, but I was like, man, I love this page so much. I just have to show it again. But it's basically like the main gods of Sacrimony. So the one like on the top panel, the one on the left side. Yes, left side. I have difficulty differentiating left from right, but that's a whole other thing.
Me
So yes.
too.
Oh, cool. I mean, not cool for us, but
Right.
I don't feel alone anymore.
Dyslexic friends.
Yeah, it's actually a dyscalculia. I found out, and it's a real
No.
thing, which is it's interesting. Look it up. But, yeah, the one with the, demon wings on the left side is, like, the devil of the world, and the
Mhm.
other one is, like, the god of the world. And it's actually a mother and son. So, like, the god is the mother and the devil is the son, and they were, like, estranged. And the devil
Mhm.
one is, like, all like, "Oh, I hate you, mom." And the mom is just like, "My son, I love you." So, they have that dysfunctional relationship going on.
Mhm.
And yeah, so this particular scene is in Dawn, which is like the equivalent of heaven. I try not to use things like heaven or hell or angels or demons because it's like you immediately think like Christian stuff or whatever, and it's like that's not the vibe I want to go for. I wanted to create something that's more like that just feels like something you wouldn't have like a predisposed judgment I guess, like, yeah, like if you hear like angel, demon, whatever, it's just like you kind of know what you're getting. But if you hear like dawn or dusk, you're like, what is that? And then you got to kind of find out. So
Yeah. I really like that from a world building standpoint. We try to also kind of like not use words that are kind of like have a lot of what's
association, connotation,
yeah.
something. Yeah, I can't words right now. I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
we
trying.
can never words. Words is hard.
It is.
The dyslexia bit, man. They're upside
Yeah.
down and backwards, and I don't know what to do.
Aw. Yeah, so like that particular scene was in Dawn, which is like the equivalent of heaven, where like, the souls of the good go to get rewarded, which is like you get a vacation. Yes, hello, cat. I know
Yes.
you're meowing.
That's awesome. So, to jump into our first bit of questions, we'll go into a little bit more about your world and your characters. But first, I want to know, what is your relationship with anime and manga? And what does the word isekai mean to you?
So I grew up on a lot of anime and manga. Like I think when I was like 10 years old or something, that's when like Sailor Moon became popular in the United States. So like yeah, I think I've consumed more anime and manga than I have like Western cartoons and Western comics. So like there's definitely like a sort of manga influence in my stuff. Like I really like bright colors and like over the top character designs. Cause like a lot of people they're like, oh, it's a fantasy story, but it's so bright. And I'm like, are they not supposed to be bright? Like, I don't get it. Like, I guess they're
Mhm.
used to that sort of like, grim dark, like everything is like some sort of shade of like brown and gray and green or whatever. But yeah. So, fun fact, I actually didn't know what isekai meant for a while. I think I found out like last year, but it's like a genre where they're like transported to another world basically, right? Or something.
So, as a genre, yeah, they're usually transported to another world, but it's also just a Japanese word that means other world. So, any world that isn't Earth is technically an isekai, even if it's not in the isekai genre.
Ah, cool.
So, that's
I
kind
learned.
of yeah, that's kind of the message we're trying to spread is like we want world builders to build more amazing worlds, and just because you're doing anime doesn't mean you can't, you know, do a really in-depth world like Tolkien would or any of those novelists,
Yep.
like yeah. So uh, the message.
Yeah.
um. So I'm so bad at reading. Thank you.
It's all good.
um. So how do you approach world building?
That's an interesting question. I think I approached world building based off of things that I didn't like what other people were doing with their worlds. Where it's like, all right, like let's say you have a world of like, I don't know, elves, dwarves, and humans, and like you mean to tell me all of these races have been around for like thousands of years, but you'll only see dwarves in the mountains and you'll only see humans in cities and like you'll only see elves in like this
Right.
particular forest. And it's like, don't these people ever move? Like
Right.
so what I wanted to do with my world is that like I have a bunch of races like living in different cities and it's like culture itself isn't really specific to like one race. It's more of like a regional thing. So it's like, you'll see humans and like my like other races or whatever wearing the same clothes and having like similar names in one region and like in another region it's completely different and they kind of influence each other that way and just instead of just saying like all right well like this is an elf and they always wear all green and like this is a dwarf and they always wear horned hats or whatever like I don't know, I always thought that was really like stereotypical and not terribly creative.
Mhm, mhm. So you really put in effort into making your regions and your kind of like races and cities and stuff to be more like unique and depict the different places that
Yes.
what's the word? There's a
What
word, continents. That's not the right word.
hmm.
Governmental systems.
Yeah, definitely that different governmental systems. There's a lot of history that I have that's like still in my head that I haven't gotten to get out in the comic because it's like it's so early on. Like the
Yeah.
story is going to be so long, you have no idea. I'm going to be like 70 years old still trying to draw it.
No.
But yeah, like I try to make each area feel like it could be a real place. So it's like, all right, well, this place has beef with that place. Like, let's play off of that. Or like, they want to make amends, but the other side doesn't want to make amends. Or even just like how certain races feel about each other. Because
Ah, did we cut out everywhere? Are you back? Oh no. Technical difficulties. Peak. I don't know how to fix the technical difficulties. Oh no. Are you
hey,
back? Is it good? Did it
I
sorry.
refreshed the browser because I was like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, I could hear you, but I guess you couldn't hear me.
No, yeah, you completely froze. I don't know if everyone else could see that or if that was just like a Yumi
No,
disconnect.
nobody saw anything. Nothing happened.
Nobody saw, yeah,
Nobody
nobody
saw
saw
it.
anything. Where were we?
Oh yeah, I was talking about races and countries and like how there's a lot of
Countries.
history between like each area and like, some people hate each
Mhm.
other, some of them don't, some want to be friends. Like it's fun to think about those things
Yeah,
instead of just thinking of everything as like an individual setting that's like never interacted with like a different country in like the thousands of years that they've been around.
right, right. And that is the word I was looking for is country.
Oh, you said that, I think, or
So, did I
continent or
say that? I
I
said
think you said
continent.
that. Wait, did you? No, we'll say you said country.
Okay.
It
Yep.
was all you.
I'm so good at this.
You really are. You're amazing.
Thank you. So next question.
All right.
When you are writing news stories, what tends to come first, the world or the characters?
A little from column A, a little from column B. Because
Okay.
it's like, I'll kind of think about a character, but then it's like automatically my brain goes into like, all right, well, where are they from? Like, what were their influences? Like, what was their life like growing up?
Yeah, yeah. I kind of go the same process, the kind of like both at the same time. I know a lot of people do just the characters and then they'll build around it, but I think you kind of need to do it hand in hand because the world is kind of like a separate character all on its own, isn't it?
It really is. I never thought about it that way. Like,
um I would like to know a little bit more about some of your not continents, countries. Some of your countries. Do they have names? Do they have like history?
yeah, I haven't named all of them because there's like I'm only kind of going based on like what I need at the moment, and I'm like, all right, I can kind of think of the rest later, but it's there. But like the frozen icy place that is in one of the images, and it's kind of like the main setting for the current book number 4 is called The Peak of the World by like most of the world, but it's also known as Janao, which means like the north in my super awesome made up language called Valjari.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, the font also I'm pointing like you can see where I'm pointing, but the font was also like a font that I made up like from my handwriting, and those have been fun to do.
I wonder if I can zoom in on that. That looks awesome. I've just started doing some conlanging of my own.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
So yeah, also a friend on my Discord server is like super into cryptography, and they like actually started deciphering my fonts, and I'm like, that makes me feel so special. Like shout
Ah!
out to Lee. I don't think Lee is watching, but shout out to you. You're amazing.
That's awesome. That's so great. Oh, I'm excited. I want to read all about your language now. You should make like a guide, like a little
I
like
want to like this is kind of like planning way ahead and super secret information, but when I actually compile like the first 5 books into a graphic novel, I'm going to put like an encyclopedia in it. So like there's going to be like a thing about all of the races and like the languages and like some of the customs from like each different country. And yeah, it's just like fun little behind the scenes things that you don't like super need to know to get the story, but it's like, there are those people who love to go into like, Game of Thrones rabbit holes and like look into every single little detail and like every single little thing, and like that's for you guys.
Yes. I love those people. Those people make me happy.
They do. Like it's so nice that it's like they can go and just like really dive into something, and it's like you can tell they enjoy it.
It's definitely one of my favorite parts of stories and stuff, is having those like little bits of it that just make it feel so real, because anything to get out of Earth and like go head first into a different world.
Yes, absolutely. Even if the different world is also a bit dark and sad or whatever, like I'm still here for it.
Right. I tend to consume just audiobooks lately because I can do that while I'm drawing.
Me
And
too.
so I've been listening to some of Brandon Sanderson's work, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so depressed right now, but I need to know more.
Aw.
His what is it? Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the series at the moment, but it's a lot darker than his normal stuff. And I was like, oh gosh, this
Oh.
is out of left field. I wish I could remember what it was called. It's one of his more popular series, but not his most popular series. That's really vague.
Yeah. I'm also like, I wish I could help, but I'm not like terribly familiar with all the stuff he's done, because he's done a lot.
He has done a lot. But we're not here for that. Next question.
All right.
Have you ever started a project and then decided to change the planet it was originally on completely? You're like, I hate this setting, or something like that.
That happened. It happened with Sacrimony. It's really the only story I'm writing, but it's just like I went through so many incarnations of this story to get to where I was, because it was like I just wasn't happy with a lot of the settings that I had. It felt like when I first started, I was like, all right, well, I'm doing fantasy, so I guess that like I have to do elves and I have to do this and they have to be a certain way. And I was like really limiting myself to like what people would expect from like D&D or Tolkien or whatever. And it's just like, this isn't what I want to do. I want to make things fun. I want to like defy expectations. I want people to go in with like no expectations basically, and then just like form their own opinions, instead of just knowing like, all right, well, like elves are really snooty and dwarves always get drunk. It's like, all right, yeah, we get it. Like they're stereotypes. But I just wanted to do something that people would have like no idea what it is until they actually find out.
That's awesome. And I think you have accomplished that, especially with your imagery on your Kickstarters. I'm like, this looks so fresh and new. So
Thank you. Yeah, fresh is actually what I hear a lot. And I'm like, is it? I'll take the compliment. Awesome.
I don't know if there are any, like, there are probably better adjectives, but I think the first, like the easy one, is like fresh.
Yeah,
So-
I even started using them. Like, yes, it's a fresh fantasy, guys. Like, yeah. I'm here for it.
Fresh.
I love
All
alliteration.
Right. So do you ever like wish you could leave Earth and go into your planet?
Oh gods, no. No. Never. No, I know what's there. I'll pass. I'll stay in my nice little messy room, thanks.
That's awesome.
I don't think I would survive in my own world.
Oh no.
I don't have what it takes. But that's okay. I can admit that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, I don't want to be in that like anime world, because I'm gonna be that kid that dies in the first episode.
Yes, exactly. Like I'm gonna be the one that like gets stepped on by the kaiju, and like that's it. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get one line, which is like I get to point and scream and then split. Like that's me.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe like the dramatic effect, like the quest that the character couldn't complete, and like the child ends up dying anyway, and it's like the heartthrob, the pain point. Oh no,
I'm someone's dark origin story. I couldn't save them. Well, now I have to get revenge. I mean, that would be kind of flattering, I guess, but still, yeah, no, I'll take
Yeah.
the real world any day.
That's awesome. I feel like that might be a bit of a unique stance. I think a lot of people like to make their ideal world and they're like, I'm gonna, pretend I'm the main character and I don't want to be on Earth. I don't know. This
No,
is
I get it. It's a power fantasy thing where it's like, they kind of make, a character that they would want to be in a world that they would want to be in, and like that's cool. I don't really connect with my characters or world in that sort of way. They're more of just like people that I just like to sit there and watch, and I'm just kind of like, you idiot, why did you do that?
there's this meme that I saw that's like this character that I made and decide every action of me. Why are you like this? I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more of a people watcher, so I just enjoy watching my characters do like the stupid things that they do as opposed to like wanting to be near them. Like, no, I know what you're like. I'll pass. Like there are very few characters of mine that I could say like, all right, you know what, I could hang out with this character and like have an okay time.
That's hilarious. Where do you get your inspiration for the characters since they're not coming from like your personal uh inside?
They still come from like certain perspectives, I guess. And I
Mhm.
guess like some of them are still like from parts of myself. Like the main character, Kajad, who I don't think is in any of these images I sent, which is a little ironic. But she's the girl with the white hair and white demon wings. And like she kind of came from my perspective of just feeling like an outsider everywhere I went. Like, so, she's got these big demon wings and she has to like navigate the world and like people aren't necessarily going to accept her. They're going to like form opinions on her, and I feel like being a kid of like immigrants in America has been like really hard because there's like the cultural clashes, and there's also just like, especially after 9/11, like, people were looking at
Mhm.
me like I'm the guys that blew up the towers. So like I kind of like I express that through her basically, or she's kind of like a stand-in for like basically anybody who has had a hard time fitting in.
That's really great to kind of show him. I like the awareness of bringing somebody who feels out of place into the world. And I feel like as creators, we all kind of can relate to that because most of us, I mean, we write for a reason, you know?
Yeah.
We're all kind of broken and weird,
Yeah, we're definitely the weird ones.
misfits.
I think
Mhm.
like all of my characters now that I think about it, they're kind of like in positions where they don't necessarily belong or like that don't necessarily match up with like who they are on the inside. So it's like it's interesting exploring that through like, different characters of like different social classes or like, literal gods and stuff and seeing how they would handle the same situation. And like also I gotta say like half the fun is seeing like how people react to that.
Mhm, mhm.
Like, running a webcomic, like, before I stopped, it was always fun to read what kind of comments people would leave because it's like, I can imagine they're, like, throwing popcorn at the screen like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that. You're, like, the worst mother ever," or whatever, like, it's fun to see.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. I'm gonna have to read your comic now. I'm getting really invested into it.
Yay. Thank you.
You should make an audiobook just for me.
I like talking, like, once I get started, I won't shut up, so, like, I've done audio commentary, so I'm sure an audiobook isn't a far stretch. Except I
Well,
guess I gotta up my prose game, otherwise it's like, "Alright, well, Kajad is, like, doing this thing, and she, like, lit a fire, and her mom is all, like, scared and stuff." Like, I guess that could be kind of a fun audiobook.
oh, that's awesome. If you did it like with like the animated panel things where it's like zooming in and shaking and all that. I don't
Like
know.
motion comics.
Yeah,
Are
yeah, yeah,
motion
yeah.
comics still a thing?
Webtoon is really into them right now. I think the future of motion comics actually lies in live 2D. That'd be really cool. It's
Hmm.
something we're kind of looking into. That's a future thing though. That's future Bitsy's problem.
Aw,
I don't know if you know live 2D.
I do not
It's
actually.
it's a rabbit hole. It's very, very Japanese
Is it
VTuber.
is it
It
the thing where like you take a picture and then you can like animate parts of it?
kinda, do you know VTubers? So they
I am kind of familiar with the concept of VTubers where they
okay.
kind of like it's like a motion capture thing and they have like their avatar.
Mhm,
That is
mhm.
pretty cool. I wish I could do that for my Kickstarter videos because I do hate
I
being on camera. Like I love talking, but I hate being on camera.
I've so the program that does that is called Live 2D, and I've been learning how to use it, and it's kind of fun. It's very complicated. My husband wants us to animate our whole book, and I'm like, "Ugh."
Oh man.
But I think that would be cool because you can actually, excuse me, bottle. You
I
can
saw nothing.
actually, you can move like the people kind of normalish, and they'll like breathe and open their mouths and crap.
That's pretty cool.
But if you want a VTuber, I can hook you up.
Hmm.
I'll draw you. It'll be great.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you have like a big eureka moment, but you find out it's already been done? So it's like you get a really big idea and you're really invested into it, but then you find like, I don't know, something on YouTube comes up and you're like, hey, that's what I was just about to do. Like, how do you navigate that?
I do it anyway. Because
Okay.
honestly, it's like just because like myself and someone else have like a similar concept, I know that we're not going to execute it exactly like the other one would because we don't have the same perspective. So
Mhm.
like, all right, well, whoever on YouTube is going to do that their way and I'm going to do it my way and we'll see what happens. Cuz I don't think that anything is like truly original anymore. Like maybe like the first caveman painting was like, you know, super duper original, but like everyone else was just copying off of him anyway.
And
So,
he was
yeah.
just copying a human, so
Yeah, he was just drawing fan art of humans.
yeah.
So yeah, nothing's original and like it's sad when I see people get discouraged when they're like, "Oh man, I had this cool concept, but like I saw this thing in a book. Just do it anyway." Especially if it makes you happy and it was like your big eureka moment and you thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like still please execute it as if you thought it was the coolest thing ever. Cuz also like yours might be the first thing that someone sees anyway and they're not going to be like, oh well, you know, it's like that other thing from the thing on YouTube that I saw and you're like totally copying him. Like the chances of that happening is so slim. Like
Right.
just do it and enjoy it and like just yeah, just
Mhm.
think it's the coolest thing ever.
It's crazy, like, even if you don't know that something else is out there that's kinda like what you're making, there are just things out there that's kinda like what you're making, and, I had this weird moment on TikTok where I was actually getting views, and everyone was like, "This character looks like this thing from this other stuff, and this character," and I'm like, "Stop it, please."
That's not a compliment,
Stop
please. Like, I
it.
get what you're saying, but also, like, I've definitely gotten that, and then I go and I look up
Mhm.
the character and I'm like, "They look nothing alike. Like, are you on drugs? Come on."
Go home, internet.
Yeah, seriously. Go home, internet. You're drunk.
Mhm. Uh, so, we talked about your inspirations and about your locations. Um, is there something that you do differently in your world building process specifically that you don't think anyone else does, or at least isn't very common?
I guess going back to the thing that, like, I structure my world and, like, characters, like, specifically based off of avoiding the things that I hate about, like, worlds and tropes and stuff. I don't think anybody else really thinks like that, or, like, if you do, props to you for being aware that, like, you don't wanna repeat other people's mistakes. But yeah, like, even with character tropes and stuff, like, I don't wanna just be like, "Alright, here's a stereotype, here's a stereotype." So it's always like, "Alright, I have this particular type of character, and, like, what do I do with it that doesn't make it feel, like, tired and predictable?" Like, I'm sure someone has done the same type of character somewhere else, but, like, you know, like, how do I do this character in a way that I enjoy it and that, like, I want to explore what they're going through and, like, you know,
Mhm, mhm.
basically what happens with them.
So you kind of like to take the world and strip it down and like optimize it almost to fit a different, maybe not optimize is the wrong word, but like
Min-max it.
yeah.
It's basically just molding it in a way that I want to avoid things that I don't like. Like another
Mhm,
thing that really bothers me about world building is when some creators are like, all right, well, we're gonna have this race of humans and they're just gonna be like, white British people, and then like, all right, here are the dumb orcs, they're based off of Native Americans, ha ha ha, or like here's
yeah,
this evil race that's based off of Middle Easterners, and just like, guys, no, don't do that shit, please. Like, first of all, you're saying that, like, only white people can be human, and then you're like
right.
othering these other races, and like, it's just wrong.
Mhm,
So I made
mhm.
sure to like make it a point to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, that's definitely something I think needs to start happening. It has been starting to happen with a lot of the independent people, but I'd like to see more of these planets like you're creating be bigger, I guess, like more mainstream. Like we need more of what you're doing seen by more people, so it just
I
kind
feel
of
like
breaks those molds.
I feel like even like Wizards of the Coast with D&D up till like a couple of years ago, they're just like, all right, well, we're finally going to remove that like intelligence penalty that orcs get because we realized that we stereotyped them really badly and said they were dumb. Like, all right, progress, I guess, but D&D has been around since what, the 80s, and it's like now you're doing
Mhm,
this.
mhm. Yeah, and well, and a lot of people wouldn't think of orcs as like they're not people, but that's
I think
not the right ad.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough because it's like definitely the people that have been stereotyped for like, for the orcs to be modeled off of definitely know like what the original creators were going for.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I definitely try to do similar things too, where we got like pseudo orc races and stuff, and they've just every time I make a like something like that, I'm like, as long as it's just not what everybody else does, just
Yeah,
not
please.
what everybody else does.
Props for the self-awareness because there are some people that just, it's kind of clueless. I know it's not malicious, that they're just kind of regurgitating all of the things that they've already seen and, think that things have to be a certain way. So yeah, like
Mhm.
props to you for the critical thinking of like, all right, let me not like step in that pile of crap over there.
Yes, yes. We should band together and be like, don't step in crap.
Yes, don't step in crap. They'll know what we mean. They'll
Yeah.
absolutely know.
No other context needed.
No, not at all. They'll know. They'll know.
Sacrimony for Netflix series? Yes, please.
I would love to do that if like all right. I think Neil Gaiman had also said this about like his series, but like if anybody's gonna run it into the ground, it's gonna be me. Like I have to be in charge. And also it has
Yes.
to be live action. Like I
Oh,
feel like live
really?
action would be like so cool. Like imagine seeing all of those costumes in real life and like I mean, I feel bad for the costume designers that would have to actually do them because they're pretty elaborate, but like it would be so majestic to see.
That would be really cool. Kind of like the wings and stuff from Maleficent. They did
Yeah,
a
those
really good job.
they were done really well.
That would look really cool. I'm for it. But yeah,
I feel sorry for the actors that would have to wear all of these things too, especially with Ankiel, who's like, the god with that big like sun thing on their back and like the wings and the extra arms walking around. Like, good luck getting through the door, but you look fabulous.
yes. Do I have a picture of him here for
Oh, it's
people?
from
Is
the
he is he one of these guys?
no,
No.
it's a they, and they were on the picture with the devil one.
Okay. That's on the Kickstarter page, isn't it?
It's not. It's one of the ones that I sent. It's
Oh,
not
it
the icy
is.
one, and it's not that one, so it's got to be the other one.
So it's the comic
Yeah,
page.
comic page.
Boop, 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 boop. I am so good at computers.
Yeah, there we
There we
go.
go.
So yeah, the one with the gigantic sun ring on their back and the big old crown and like the extra metal arms and the black feathery wings. Like imagine seeing that in real life.
That would be awesome. She's a gorgeous character too. That's the mom, right?
Yep. And the crying makeup and such too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that would be fun to see.
Yes.
And
Yeah, if oops.
sorry.
Ah,
Oh,
I'm so sorry. I clicked the wrong button.
it's all good.
Ah. Yay for first time streaming.
Yes.
Ah. But yeah, I definitely think you don't want to sell this to anybody. You need to be in
No.
charge.
Unless
Mhm.
I got like that Jeff Bezos money, like no, not happening.
Right, right. I'm like,
Like how many trillion are you guys willing to pay me for this series?
Mhm,
If
mhm,
not, no deal.
mhm, mhm. Definitely. Yeah. It's like I like to think of I'll have like a backup series. Like if anybody wants to buy my planet, I'll be like, how about this one instead? I'll
Mm,
keep
good idea. I gotta start keeping a series in my back pocket for that.
whip it out next time some scout finds you and be like, huzzah.
I've got the perfect thing for you. It's not the main thing, but it's a spin-off.
Like a side story or something.
Oh man, I have so
Uh,
many side stories. So many.
yeah. Are you gonna do separate series for those, or just kind of work them into your main plot?
Oh man, it's one of those things where it's like everyone has like a backstory and a backstory for their backstory, and it's like I want to fit in as much of that as possible in the actual comic. But if I can't, I guess I would try to do them as like these little prose novella things just so people get caught up because I don't think I could handle doing like a spin-off comic of this thing that's already taking so much time.
Yeah, because you write and illustrate all of it, don't you?
Yeah, and do all of the marketing and the kickstarting and the shipping and the customer service and ordering all the merch, and I don't sleep.
And it feels like you're drowning and you just want to throw your tablet out the window.
Oh my god, yes, that is like drowning is the exact metaphor that I use, where it's just like, you see the hand sticking up for like a moment and then it's just like bloop, down underneath again.
I feel that. The only reason I've started this podcast is because I actually have team members now. I found
Oh,
someone who
awesome.
wants to color my comic for me. And I'm like, well,
Congrats.
I asked them to color my comic for me and they said, okay. So I don't know if they want to, but they like the monies.
I mean, that'll do it.
Yeah, that's all I
Congrats.
need. Thank you. It usually takes 2 full years to make one book. And it's just like
I mean, yeah, you use a lot of color and shading and stuff too, so it's intense.
it's a terrible pace and it's a terrible burden. Like, yeah. So I've gotten to the point where it's just like, no more. No more.
Yeah, I understand. You kind of just want to like I say this all the time like to my friends and stuff, just like get on a plane and just like fly to the Andes and just like live in a shack and raise capybaras for a living or something. Like call it
Right?
a day.
Because other people don't understand. They'll be like, wow, you get to draw every day. And I'm like, no, I
No, I
have
have
to
to.
draw. Yes, every day.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, we are kin.
I feel you.
Mm,
Solidarity.
yes. Oh boy.
Drawing is hard, you guys. I say this in my audio commentaries all the time, but like drawing is hard. It's so hard.
So hard.
There's so
So
many things that
hard.
can go wrong.
Mhm. Especially if like there are some people who are like natural talents that just whip stuff out in like 2 minutes. They're like the minority people. That's not
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, definitely not me. No, it
Yeah.
takes me like at least 7 hours to do like a basic comic page, and then if it's something like more elaborate with like costumes and architecture and stuff, like, oh, hey, it's been 2 days and I finished inking. Hooray.
Yeah. Oh man, ink takes so long.
Yeah, it
But
definitely takes the longest for me because there's so much that
same.
can go wrong.
And I don't trust anybody else with my line art. I had a couple assistants want to try out, and I'm like, I have to do this myself, man.
I would not wish my pencils on any inker. That's all I have to say. It's such a mess that like only I can make sense of it.
Yeah, that's my pencils are ugly. They're not even good. They just suck.
I don't know how to do clean pencils for somebody else to ink over it. So it's just like scribbles everywhere. Like, oh, which scribble do I trace over? You know what? That's my problem. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm. That's awesome to kind of like meet a kindred spirit.
It is like usually people are like, oh wait, your pencils aren't like perfect like mine. Like, no, they're not.
Mhm. I saw this storyboarding job open up, and I'm like, ooh, that looks fun. And then I'm like, wait, my pencils are awful. I can't apply for this job.
Yeah,
Like, I just do stick figures and then figure it out later. I don't
that's
even
what I do. That's exactly what I do.
really.
Like, I'm pretty sure that it's kind of like the thumbnail phase, and I'm calling it pencils, even though like there really should be another round of pencils. And then I'm sitting there inking like, where does this eye go? All right, there it is. Good enough.
Half the time I just put a stick figure, write a note, find a meme or a reference image and slap it on next to it, and I'm like, perfect, I'll get back to
Valid.
that later.
Very valid.
So
I mean, also,
actually,
yeah, as comic artists, sometimes we just don't have time to figure this stuff out. Like,
mhm.
you just gotta slap something on there and then just figure it out.
Yeah, it's got to get done at some point. My husband's been my assistant for the past couple years, and he hates my storyboarding.
Aw.
Every time I do, like, the last half of my last book, he just completely did himself. He's like, if you're just going to be putting stick people in memes, I can do that for you. And it worked a lot better because I don't know. I always do like the same couple angles because
It's easy.
it's
And
easy.
you're
Yeah.
pressed for time.
And
I
I
get
want it
it.
to be easy. So, but we're bringing on a new pencil person, so that'll be nice too.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
It'll take a
So,
lot of load off of you, I imagine. Like,
mhm.
you can breathe.
Yeah, I don't like putting together the paneling either. Like, it's like that graphic design eye. It's like,
Yeah.
uh,
It took me so long to try and figure out what works, and even still, like, I'll look back at some of my more recent pages like, "What was I thinking? That layout doesn't make any sense. It does not flow, but you know what? It's already done, so we're just gonna roll with it."
yep.
Especially when there's lots of scenes of talking, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of talking in Sacrimony, and it's like, "How do I frame this in an interesting way instead of just doing a talking head?" It's always
Yeah,
the hardest thinking of, like, how to make those interesting.
like perspective is just cruelty, so let's avoid that at all cost.
Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Like, okay, here's the head, but where does the neck go? Like, how does the shoulder attach? I don't know.
It's like, and for some reason, it needs to be from this angle. Why?
Yeah, and then you're like, wait, really? Why? Let me just do something else.
Yes. And then your husband's like, why are these all in the same direction?
Aw.
Ah, it is what it is.
It
Nothing's
is.
perfect.
Yeah, I mean, like, these big companies, like, the big three, they get away with just like straight up like talking head panels for like, 4 or 5 pages. So why can't I?
Definitely. Yeah. And they've got like a team. They've got like
Yeah.
5 people working on it. I'm
What's your
like,
excuse, bro? And you're getting paid more than me and everything?
mm-hmm.
Hmm?
Yeah.
No bueno.
uh, so looks like our time is coming to an end. Before
Oh, well,
we,
that flew by really quickly.
yeah,
I was
I
like
only wait.
it's like
What's
that's like, what am I gonna say for, like, 30 minutes? And then all of a sudden, it's like,
gone?
45 minutes later, just chatting it up.
Yeah, yeah. That's it's a good little time frame. It kind of leaves you wanting more. You can come back and say other things later.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Like, if you ever wanna have me on again and, like, I will always just keep talking because it's what I do.
Definitely.
Oh, nice.
Anytime. We will maybe like next when's your next Kickstarter? Tell us about your Kickstarter. We haven't talked about that.
Oh, wow.
Promotion.
That is true. My Kickstarter is for book 4 of Sacrimony, A Tale of Love, Life, and Death in no particular order. And also, if you're new to the series, I have catch-up bundles with like books 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and I've got variant covers, and it's a beautiful story about gods who ruin everything. And like if you're looking for a story about like good versus evil, like defeat the bad guys, you're not gonna get it here. It's more of like a long form drama that revolves around like, dysfunctional families, like found family, friendship, and like basically like I like to say that it's like, a slice of life soap opera fantasy drama type thingy where like you're just watching these people who don't belong where they are, like, just trying to get by.
Mhm.
And if you're into that sort of stuff, like, I guess the one book I could probably compare it to is, like, Saga, where it's, like, you're just watching this family struggle to, just get by and hide their kid and whatnot. So it's like Saga, but, like, if the parents hated each other.
That's awesome. And what are your plans for your next Kickstarter? So after this book is a huge success, where are we going?
Well, we're going with book 5, which, it's gonna revolve more around, the mother and daughter and, like, how they're living their newfound life in the big city. So it's kind of like the story of a single immigrant mom working full time while raising her demon-winged daughter in secret. And
Aww.
you can find the book at sacrimony.com/Kickstarter because I made like a nice
Yes.
handy short URL for that. And yeah, please back it. It's great. And I'm not biased. No, I
Yes.
don't think I don't think it's better than Saga. I don't know. But if Tate says so, like, thank you, Tate.
And all of the links are in the description if you're on YouTube and Facebook. If you're on Twitter, I'll post them in a minute.
Awesome.
Yes. And before we leave, recommend one book / world, like planet, that
Oh
you
man.
really love.
Can I recommend a series with different planets?
Yes.
Okay. Well, like, a lot of my influence is actually, like, the Tales series. They're video games, it's not, like, a book or a,
Yeah, like
whatever.
Tales of Symphonia, Tales of
Yes! Tales of
Vesperia.
Vesperia, like, Tales of
Mhm,
the Abyss, like,
mhm,
I
mhm.
love the worlds that they create because it's like, no world in each Tales game feels the same, even though there are, like, certain familiar aspects of, like, because they gotta do the throwbacks to, like, certain characters and certain things, but, like, every world feels, like, really unique. It feels, like, fleshed out. It's also bright and colorful, and I like bright and colorful worlds, and it's just, like, the world itself is always, like, an integral part of the story where it's, like, they have to do something to save the world, but there's always consequences. Like, I really like stories about, like, good characters and, like, good consequences, so it's like, I don't know, like, "Oh, hey, we saved the world, but magic doesn't exist anymore," or "Womp womp."
Yeah.
Like, there's always something like that going on, and I really enjoy it. There's a lot of, like, morally gray areas, and it's so good. Like, I
Mhm.
recommend all of them. I love them so much.
That's awesome. I've only played a couple of them, but it's kind of funny because we were talking earlier about what you do when you see something that you don't like. You thought you had your eureka moment and someone else did it. Tales of stole one of my very first names. I was so mad. I walked into GameStop and I'm like, Exelia is my name.
Oh,
I was like,
no.
I was like 8 and I was so angry. I may have been like 11 or 12, but it was like my first time with that
Oh, yeah,
encounter.
names are a lot harder because it's like, if you're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
here's the story, like, Tales of Xillia," like, "Oh, like the game?" Like, "No, not like the game. It's my own
Right.
thing." I'm like, "No, you copied them." Like, "No, they copied me, actually."
Mhm, mhm. It was the character name. I had this whole little
Oh,
thing written for my OC, and I like it was my first OC, and I was like so
aw.
small and young, and I was like, walked in, and I'm
Oh
like,
my god.
I
Absolute
was
heartbreak.
destroyed. Uh, but yeah, they are great
Did you end up
names.
using the name or did you scrap it?
I've never put any of that story up for anybody to see ever.
Aw.
So I think I have the notes somewhere still. written down in my chicken scratch. Maybe one day. Maybe I'll do it for like Patreon. Be like,
Aw.
here's my weird childhood musings.
Childhood musings are great. I wish I still had mine. Like, curse my angsty teenage years where I was just like, you know what, I'm getting rid of all of this. Like,
Oh no.
yeah.
I'm a real big hoarder, so I've got stacks.
I have like a super small space, so I end up like getting rid of a lot of things. Usually, like if I have a sketchbook with a few things I like, I'll like take out the stuff that I like, and then I have to get rid of like the rest of the sketchbook to make room for new sketchbooks. So it's unfortunate, but at least I kept some of the stuff I like from like recently.
I just send it all to my aunt and uncles. They've got a big piece of land with like a big shed, and I'm like, can you put this in my box?
Oh, that's an amazing resource to have.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's a big family
Yeah,
home.
I don't have that
Yes.
sort of relationship, especially like being in a creative field. So,
Yeah, it's weird. Family's weird.
yeah, agreed.
Mhm. But yeah, uh, it's life is weird, messy.
Life is very weird. I need that on a shirt.
It could make it all over print. Maybe put some tentacles coming up. Maybe some like glitter coming down. It'd be great.
Yes, definitely needs glitter
Yes.
because life is weird.
We need to make this shirt now.
We do, absolutely.
Next Kickstarter.
Life is weird merch, like tentacles, unicorns, glitter, like explosions, palm trees, just everything all in one shirt. Because you know why? You know why? Because life is weird.
Yes. Yes. I'm 100% in.
Excellent. I look forward to starting our brand.
Yes. Oh man, if we had the time to do that though,
That would be awesome.
it would be so
I think
good.
it would be like very in demand too, because there's a lot of people that would agree with us.
Who knows? Maybe I'll spend the weekend putting together a Kickstarter page.
Hmm.
Yeah. I like shirking duties. I like doing things I'm not supposed to.
Oh man, don't you love derailing yourself into like something completely different? Like, you know, just because. Like, oh, I have this deadline, but this thing is shiny over here.
Yes, definitely. And it's not like my Kickstarter's going well anyway, so
Uh
uh, it's it's okay. It might live. It might still live.
I think it will. Like, it's close to halfway, I think. Yes, or
It's not quite at 30% yet. Yeah.
hey guys, if you're my friends and you're watching, you should totally back Bitsy's Kickstarter because Bitsy's awesome.
Oh,
Just saying.
this this wasn't supposed to be about me.
It is now. No, we gotta see this Kickstarter through and we gotta make it work.
Onagai shimasu.
Oh, I don't know how to say you're welcome.
Me neither. Shoot. How do you say you're welcome? It's one of those ones I always forget.
Hmm.
Do itashimashite? Perhaps.
Possibly? Is
It
is
might
that
be.
more of a formal way of speech? I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
that well
Yes.
versed.
I don't know. You could just
Like I
say
don't
domo. Domo's like an all-around gratitude little like domo.
oh, domo.
Domo.
I only know what I've like learned from anime. That's it.
My Japanese has gotten worse every year I've been here.
Oh.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, I know, right? I live in this cave and I never leave.
Fair. Valid. Yeah, you're a creator. You don't even need to like explain further.
Yep. Yep. I don't go places.
Like I
I don't
don't leave. I don't see sunlight. You guys don't understand.
I don't know anybody. Everybody on my street is like an old man that I can't understand. Like, Nani kanya? I'm like, wakarimasen.
Aw, that's kind of adorable though.
Ah, it is. They're really sweet. I just can't understand a word they say.
No.
I'm like, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Aw.
Japan's weird.
Seems interesting.
Mhm.
I want to visit one day, like when I actually have money. Like once I get that Sacrimony Netflix series, I'll be able to travel, right?
Definitely. I hope so. That's the point, right?
Yes.
To be able to actually live life as well as create.
Man, that is the dream. That is the absolute dream. Oh,
Yes.
thanks, JPen. Do I?
Doi hashimashite.
All right.
Nihongo benkyo. Anyway. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know how to say goodbye to people.
I don't know either. I'm very bad at goodbyes. I usually just wait for like people to kick me off. Like that's how I do my podcast. It's just like they're just like talking and talking. It's like, all right, hey, time to go. I'm like, okay, bye. I guess I'm signing off. But all right. So thank you for doing this, and thank you so much for having me here. It was a lot of fun talking with you.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thanks for coming on. I'm glad we got to meet in person, put a
Yes,
face to the
absolutely.
profile picture.
Yeah, right, right. And also, you guys back Bitsy's Kickstarter once again, like subliminal
Aw,
message.
thank you. I would appreciate it. We're making animations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
So,
also, yeah, it's very cool that you decided to do a podcast like specifically about world building. I really appreciate that because nobody talks about that enough.
yeah, and I saw like there's a handful of them, but they're very specific to D&D. And
Of
I
course.
love D&D,
I do
but
too.
there's so much more out there. Isekai, like we were saying earlier, it's not just a genre. It's just planets. I
Yes. Like
love planets.
I definitely look forward to seeing like who else you bring on and what they have to say about their worlds and stuff. Like this is good stuff right here. It
Mm-mm-mm. Oh, oh no. It it did the thing again. I guess it's a sign. Uh oh, Tate asks for link. Do either of yes, I do know of World Anvil. It's a website thing. Oh, you're back.
Oh, am I?
Yes. Uh-oh, and you're gone again. Technical difficulties. Thanks for sticking around, people. Um, if you want to find that link, I will put it on the comments in this video as soon as I am done here. Ah, here it is.
Oh, yay. Yeah, it worked for a second then and then it was just like, "Oh, something went wrong, try again." But yeah, I guess that's the StreamYard's way of saying like, "Hey, you guys,
Right.
wrap it up."
Okay. So thank you for coming on. Thanks for promotion.
Ah, no problem. Thanks for
um,
having me. And yes, we will have many talks in the future because it's been fun.
yes, definitely. Let me know when your next campaign is running and we'll get you on again.
Oh yeah, that I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking like it depends on how fast I like can I do like 30 pages in 90 days? I don't know. But
Mm,
yeah, it's kind of pushing it. Like I wanted to do my next campaign in August, but I think I might push it to September just to, get that extra 2 hours of sleep every night.
yes. Yeah, we're gonna be live again in October, so you could join us then too.
Oh, awesome. Yay.
Yeah, we could be Kickstarter buddies.
Yes, launch pals.
Yeah. Everybody needs a launching buddy.
They do. Agreed.
All
But
right.
alrighty. So thank you, and I
Yes.
guess I'm a head out.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks everybody for watching and stopping by all the different viewing portals. A huge shout out to our supporters, the Stranger Army, for your monetary gifts. They're very appreciated. And that is all for now. Stay strange out there, guys.